All right, welcome. We're going to do a little bit of a different type of mindfulness today. We are going to do some mindful techniques throughout, but we're going to also take a look at the brain, particularly at, if you're an adolescent, your brain. But everybody can benefit. So let's take a gander at this picture here. We've got a brain. This is the back of your head. This is the front of your head here. You're looking at it sideways. We're going to talk about 3 different parts of the brain. Now, this is way, way, way simplified. We're still learning things every day about the brain. So this is a very, 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 very simplified understanding, but just roll with it because it'll help. This red part here is roughly your brain stem, and we're going to call it your lizard brain because we kind of share this part of our brain with lizards and reptiles. It's a very ancient part of our brain, and one of the first things that develops as we're growing in the womb. This part controls your survival pieces, so your heartbeat, your respiration. That's where that lives in your brain, just the stuff that keeps you alive. The next piece we'll look at is this blue area here, and this is your limbic system. It's where the amygdala is housed. You don't need to remember that, but that is the part of your brain that controls fight or flight. It's very emotional. This develops after the lizard brain, and it's more developed in toddlers. So they have this piece, you develop it in order, kind of. And so when toddlers are pitching a fit and having a tantrum, it's because this part is all lit up. Now, the part that develops last and the part that distinguishes us from other animals. Do other animals have this green part? Yes, they do, but ours is really pronounced. This is your prefrontal cortex, and it controls logic, planning, scheduling, problem solving. It's that like, okay, put your thinking cap on. That's this. And it develops last. So it's that maturity piece, the adult part of your brain that kind of comes online over time and is finally developed when you're about 25 years old. So that's your human brain. This is the triune brain, and that's what we're working with. Now, when you're a teenager, you've got these parts down pat, but this one is under construction. That doesn't mean it's not there. It means it's there, but it's still developing. It's a very cool, special, unique time in your teenage years for your brain to be developing and growing. The problem with that is your brain is also super vulnerable to things like drugs and alcohol at the time. When you start doing drugs and alcohol, you have a much likelier chance as a teen to become addicted to those because of where your brain is. And there's research that shows that if you're using substances, it can affect that development of that last piece, and you'll have problems with memory, you'll have problems with problem solving. There's a bunch of other things, particularly in females, which is weird. So substance abuse, bad. We don't want to do that. Mindfulness, good. There is also research that shows, now the part with adolescence is still emerging research, but there is established research that shows that mindfulness does really cool things to your brain and can help that development. So we'll get there. It helps you to better access your prefrontal cortex and strengthens your brain and can keep you from losing your cool. So when you have a moment like a toddler, if you were seeing like somebody in the checkout line, it doesn't matter if they're a toddler or not, like an adult who's in the checkout line and they have an issue with the cashier and they lose it, they flip their lid. That's what this is. If you flip your lid, it's like you lost your thinking cap, you lost your lid. And so that blue part, the emotional fight, flight, or freeze part is now online, and you can't even reason with the person because their reasoning part of the brain is not active. They're using this part, and so they're having a tantrum. If you use mindfulness, it is less likely that you'll go straight to here in a moment of stress or panic or anger, and you'll channel it into here. But then you have to use some strategies, and you have to practice to get there, and that's what we're going to do. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to teach you a strategy called alternate nostril breathing. This is an oxygenating strategy. So a lot of mindfulness techniques are to chill you out and to settle you down and to make you feel very calm. This one is actually supposed to wake your brain up a bit because you're sending oxygen on both sides of it. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your hand like this. So this is the sign language for Y. You get your thumb out and you get your pinky out and the rest of them are down. Flip it and place it in front of your mouth. Now what you're going to do is you're going to close one side of your nose with your thumb, but leave the other one open. There is a pattern, so follow along with me. You're going to, with this one closed, you breathe in through one side, hold both of them closed, open the other side and breathe out. Keeping it closed, you're now going to breathe in on this side. You breathe in, close, release on the opposite side and breathe out. So you'll notice that you breathe out and then you start over on that same side and you breathe in. So you get to go, the air flows both ways. So you're going to go inhale to exhale, inhale to exhale. I hope that makes sense. Let's do a couple of them together and just follow along with me. All right. Got your fingers ready? Let's do this. Close one side. Let's breathe in. Hold. And exhale. Awesome. Breathe in again. Close again. And exhale. Let's do one more round. Breathing in. Close. And exhale. Breathing in. Close. And exhale. Awesome. If you were to do that several times, the thought is that that would help you to wake your brain up and become more alert. So, but what if you don't need to wake up? What if you are feeling really, really stressed and so you're running the risk of falling into your fight or flight response, which that's a normal and necessary and helpful response. But if you are looking at a test and you need to remember your content and problem solve, you probably need to be up here, not down here. So, but if you're seeing a test and you're starting to get a little freaked out, the next thing is some strategies that will help you move from here to here. So, kind of a 5 S's of stress release, stress relief, what we're gonna do. 5 S's of stress relief. The first one is to stop. So if you start to notice yourself feeling overwhelmed, feeling yourself get kind of worked up, the first thing is you have to notice that. And that's the hardest part because we kind of let ourselves get carried away. Stopping and noticing is the most difficult, but once you do that, the rest of it's really easy. So just recognizing I'm starting to get a little freaked out. You can think of it like a traffic light sometimes. Like if you are feeling really chill and you're green and having a worked up freak out moment is red, you're trying to catch yourself in the yellow where you're like, okay, I am approaching freak out mode. I need to do some things. So that's your first step, is to stop. First S, stop. The second one is to sigh. So what's happening is you have a buildup of tension. You've got some adrenaline. You've got to give it some place to go. Sighing is a really good thing to like release some of that. It gives that energy a place to go. It makes it move out of your body. And it also is stimulating to your vagus nerve, which is, you don't need to get into that, but the vagus nerve is like the nerve that helps you chill out. It's a really long nerve in your body. It runs through your throat. And so by sighing or humming, you stimulate it, which like says, hey, I need to chill out. So first you stop, then you sigh. Number 3, then you stretch. So that again takes that tension and gives it some place to go. So stretch a little bit, move your body. It's helpful just to pull on your wrist and just move a bit. This is all stuff so far that you could do even in a classroom. You may even be doing it right now. But just stretch. You can do whatever feels good to your body. Fold down. You can do some standing stretches. I'm going to stay seated, but that's the kind of idea. It's just, again, getting your body moving. It helps give that stress someplace to go. Stop, sigh, stretch, shake. Now, this is where it's going to get weird, and you may not be able to do this in the classroom anymore, but if you are in a place where you're able to shake, again, it gives your body a place to put the tension, and you can be as silly as you want. I look ridiculous, and it's totally fine. This is why we feel good when we go and we dance, because we're releasing. There's a lot of cultures where the ceremonial dances or people get together and they dance around and there's music and drumming. All of that's very normal. There's a reason why a lot of cultures shake and dance and move. It's because we build up tension in our bodies, and this gives it a place to go. Have you ever noticed an animal after it's had maybe a frightening encounter, like a dog, and they shake? There's a reason why we shake. It's a good thing for your body. So, and it looks silly, but it works. Stop, sigh, stretch, shake. What's the last one? Smile. Your mind and your body are connected. So you're not just a floating brain in the air that happens to have a body to go with it. You are one and the same. So when you smile, your body, your muscles are communicating back up to your brain to say, I actually feel okay. It doesn't just work one way where you're like, I feel happy, and then you smile. You smile and you start to send messages up to your brain that I feel okay. Now, it may not make a total rainy day go away, but it could keep you from going into freak out mode. You're like, it's going to be all right. It's going to be fine. We're going to do this. We're going to get through it. So stop, sigh, stretch, shake, smile. Your 5 steps to stress relief. Next. Sometimes that gets hard when we get into a habit, particularly of negative thinking. So any kind of habit lives in the lizard brain, in your dinosaur brain. Why? Why do habits live there? Well, it makes our life easier. If we don't have to consciously remember something, we just do it automatically. That saves us energy. So, going on autopilot as you drive to work every day is a habit. Knowing exactly how to log on to your username password without even looking at the keyboard, that's a habit, and that's on purpose. We do that because it saves us the brain power of having to go, what's my password again? You just already know it and you do it. But we fall into ruts of negative thought as well. So we can start telling ourselves habitual untruths or half-truths. So we might say, no one likes me, no one likes me, no one likes me. They didn't sit with me because they don't like me. I don't have any friends. That person didn't say hey back to me because they don't like me. Like, we start to filter everything through this lens. And so then it becomes a habit. It's this like rift in your mind that water is going to run down through that rift. You ever seen that before, where if there's like a ditch on the side of the road, that's on purpose so the water can flow into it and move off the road. We have the same thing in our brain, these pathways that thoughts channel down, but they also will channel down bad rifts. So if we have created by many, days, weeks, months of bad thoughts in our mind, this channel that's like this, ditch that's like, I don't have any friends, no one likes me, all the thoughts are going to flow into that. So then instead of a ditch, you've now got a canyon in your mind, like the Grand Canyon that was formed by a river. We're trying to prevent that. So by doing mindfulness, you can start to undo some of these pathways we've created. It does take a lot of work. This is not something that you can do overnight. I've had so many people come up to me and say, I tried the mindfulness and it didn't work. And I'm like, how many times did you try it? They're like, well, I tried one time in my room when I was trying to go to sleep. Yeah, no, not how it works. You've got to, it took a long time for you to form these negative habits, right? That wasn't something you just decided to do every day. You didn't just go, bite my nails, and I guess I'm gonna bite my nails for years now. That was awesome. Nope. It took a long time of like learning the association of like, I'm feeling stressed, I'm gonna bite my nails, and then it became even subconscious. But you can undo these things. Same thing with these negative thought patterns of no one likes me, or I don't like the way I look, or I'm stupid. All these things that you could think about yourself, you can undo them, but it takes a lot of effort. You've got to be willing to try it over time, but it can be done. You can rewire your brain and undo these negative pathways through meditation, through deep breathing, through looking at your thoughts with curiosity instead of going, oh, I had a bad thought again. Ellen told me not to do that. No, just notice it and go, oh, I'm noticing that I'm thinking these things about myself again. I wonder why that is. I wonder what triggered that, or where I feel these negative feelings in my body. If you were to take the negative thought, instead of going, no one likes me, go, I'm having that thought again. I wonder why. And it's making me feel kind of, tense in my chest, or, frowned in my face. Like, thinking about where it feels in your body and looking at it with curiosity, these are the ways to start to undo it. And through meditation, you can start to picture, imagine, positively tell yourself, I am loved. I'm a loved being. I do have friends. I have people who care about me. These are things that are true. You've got to just understand and work through it and create a new pathway. And it can be so hard as a teenager because you really can have moments where you think no one does care, but they do. They do. Particularly if you're one of my students, I care about you. So that's definitely not a truth to think no one cares about you. So start to undo these pathways, whatever they may be. It could be anything. It could be, again, biting your nails, something pretty mundane, or it could be something, a little bit bigger. Start to try to practice. Now, I will say, because we talked about this at the clubhouse, if you pick the biggest canyon in your brain, so again, if your biggest canyon is no one likes me, it's going to be really, really hard to change that soon. It might be in your best interest to start with something small, like biting your nails, or a habit that's like, oh, I have a habit of snoozing my alarm too many times, and now I'm late for school the past couple of days. That's a good one to start trying to redo pathways and go, I'm snoozing my alarm. Why? Look at it with curiosity. Why am I snoozing my alarm? How does it make me feel in my body when I do that? I kind of feel just slumpy, and it kind of makes me feel sad inside. That's interesting, because maybe I disappointed myself because I wanted to get up on time and I didn't want my teacher to get mad at me, et cetera, et cetera. Start with the small ones, the small ditches, not the big canyons, because then you can work up to it. But what I'm trying to tell you is, because your brain can change and rewire, it's neuroplastic, it has neuroplasticity. That is the thing that can change your brain. The fact that your brain is not done developing, even when you're 25, adults can change their brains, but it takes a lot more effort. You, as a teenager, are in a very unique position where you can change your brain. So let's go ahead and do one more parting technique of breathing together. I know I did a lot of talking. This was a really good, I hope, informative one. Oh, I forgot my one last thing. So because habits live in your lizard brain, here's a giant lizard. This is kind of what it looks like, a scary big lizard that can, if you're imagining this as your pet and you're on a leash with this T-Rex, you're not walking the T-Rex is walking you. Am I right? This is how our lizard brain get really out of control. But with mindfulness, with rewiring these habits, it does not go away. And the lizard brain is valuable. We need it to survive. But the parts that get kind of hijacked, those bad habits that we can't really undo, with mindfulness, with not using substances, we can take a big dino and make it a little dino. No, isn't he cute? Much better. Now you can walk this dino on a leash. You have control. That's what we're going for. So now let's breathe together. Go ahead and get in an easy seat. Shoulders back and down. One hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Let's do 3 breaths together. Breathing in and out. And in and out. Last one, make it the deepest breath you've had all day. Breathing in and out. Thank you for sitting with me. I know it was a lot of information. I hope it's helpful. I believe that you're empowered when you know more about your brain, because then you can start to learn how to control it and master it and develop it to be the best brain that it can be. And again, thanks for sitting with me. Go out and be mindful.